Now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters, a lot of fans have been wondering about what could have been before the reshoots and the rewrites took place between Disney and Lucasfilm of the Star Wars franchise. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie was a very rushed production and it had a lot of obstacles to go through. Disney and Lucasfilm have actually admitted to this, that this movie had a lot of, I guess you could say, problems to go through and to fix, and a lot of that was done through reshoots and rewrites in order to change the tone of the movie and to really provide fans a different feel for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons as to why this movie, when you watch it, I think a lot of you guys out there will agree, is that there are times where it does feel convoluted or rushed or whatever have you in the first and second acts of the movie. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that many of these different changes were made by Disney CEO Bob Iger, president of Lucasfilm Kathleen Kennedy, and even director J.J. Abrams and co-writer Chris Terrio, in order to form a different Star Wars film than what they actually initially planned to do for the Star Wars community. Now, on top of all of this, what's rather unfortunate is that this led to tons of deleted scenes that may or may not end up on the Blu-ray edition of the movie. For all we know, they want to wait to, maybe a special edition arrives 10 years from now. Who knows? Now, on top of all this, what's rather intriguing about this is that it's explained that both Disney and Lucasfilm went through many changes and adjustments during the months of August, September, and October of 2019, when they were going through many of the reshoots and rewrites of the film, where it's explained that many of these changes has to do with developing a brand new tone for the movie to make it cater more so to the general audience. Now, during these changes, a series of scenes were deleted in the process, and the original cut of the movie was around 4 hours and 20 minutes long in length. One of the scenes that were cut took place in the second act of the film, where Luke's Force Ghost was originally going to speak to Rey far earlier in the movie inside of a place called the Lost City, where while Luke talked to Rey, he would tell her a tale about how there was once balance in the Force throughout the entire galaxy before Ben Solo turned to the dark, where originally cut to a flashback of both Luke Skywalker and Han Solo communicating for a brief scene and having a special reunion by director J.J. Abrams. It said that Harrison Ford even came back on set to shoot the scene sometime in late 2018, while many of the rewrites were taking place during its first phase, before the summer of 2019. Now, the scene even involved a young Ben Solo and was going to serve as a scene that showed a young Ben Solo getting dropped off at Luke's Jedi Temple, where the Millennium Falcon and Chewbacca, as well as a young Leia in the form of CGI and archived footage, was also a part of the sequence in an attempt to make it a proper reunion between the three characters. However, it could not fit the scene into the movie during the new scenes that were replaced with the reshoots, since Luke was taken out of the middle point of the movie. So, the thing about this that is very unfortunate, and in my own, view here, is a failure on Disney and Lucasfilm's part, is that this is something that the fans have been wanting to see since The Force Awakens. Even Mark Hamill said he has been waiting to see something like this. A proper reunion between the three main characters of the original trilogy. We are talking about Luke, Han, and Leia. And that's the one thing that a lot of fans would have loved to see in the sequel trilogy that we unfortunately did not get. Now, granted that yes, some of the scenes did make it to the final cut of the movie, like Harrison Ford in the form of a vision as Han Solo, presenting himself before Ben Solo on top of the wreckage of the second Death Star and stuff around those lines. However, this scene I think would have been more magical because it would have actually given us the proper reunion between, the best friends of the Star Wars universe, right? Han and Luke. They really became great friends, and that's something that I think was missed, obviously, in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. A big missed opportunity, if you will, by Disney and Lucasfilm that really could have been quite powerful and emotional. I don't know why they couldn't maybe have found a way to work this way into the movie, or to somehow shoehorn it in. I guess it has to make sense, but in my point of view, when you do something like that, when you film something so massive like this between Han, Luke, and a CGI Leia, it really needed to be done, regardless. They could have just thrown it in there somehow, some way. Maybe when Lando was talking about, how he and Luke were searching for Ochi's ship and stuff around those lines, They could have had something to do with Han and Luke thrown in there as a flashback. Who knows, right? So, the scene that was filmed between Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, and how they used a CGI Leia in the background, and even a young Ben Solo, also does line directly up with what we talked about almost a year ago, of how they cast a young boy with black wavy hair that was around the age of 11 years old that was going to be portraying a young Ben Solo. So now we know that what, exactly they cast that, actor for is because he was going to play a young Ben Solo in that particular flashback scene, which honestly I think would have been great. I mean, we kind of get an idea about, what that really looks like in the comics so far, the rise of Kylo Ren. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.